time of the year to enjoy the birds, and joining us live is Matt Creasy from Barkhausen with tips on winter bird feeding. Hi Matt, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Pete?
Real good. So what's going on out there? Give us some tips.
Yes, no doubt. If you enjoy viewing the birds outside your window and feeding birds, you're not alone in Wisconsin. Wisconsin actually ranks #2 in the nation, just behind Vermont, in the number of residents that enjoy bird feeding and bird viewing. So today we're going to talk about some of the fundamentals of bird feeding in your backyard. First of all, it's important to have a good water source for the birds. So out here at Barkhausen, we actually have this heated bird bath, as you can see with the plug here. And this provides that year-round supply of water for them. Of course, during the summer, there's no need to plug it in. And most birds do find their water source from the rain during the summer. But during the winter, obviously, it gets a little cold in Wisconsin, so we need to supply that warmer water for them, or the non-frozen water. So that's one fundamental. The second thing is to provide good cover. And outside the window here, you can see that we have some trees planted near our bird feeders and some other cover nearby here at Barkhausen. So that's a good protection from the predators. It's good protection from the weather, and also those birds that nest in our backyards. That provides that opportunity for them. And aside from those two things, it's important to provide quality feed, and that's what we're going to focus on today, is the different food sources and the different feeders that you can put in your backyard to attract these colorful birds after our Christmas lights are all turned off. First of all, most hardware stores, most of our department stores here in Green Bay, you can buy a mix of bird seed of some sort. In that mix, there's a lot of different types of seed, and of course we wouldn't expect anybody to know them all, but we've broken out some of those different types that you may find in those bird mixes. Number one being the sunflower seeds. These oiled sunflower seeds are probably the #1 attractant for the most variety of birds. So if you're going to put one thing out, I'd recommend the black oiled sunflower seeds. And then of course the cracked corn here. Then we have millet. Millet is another quality food source for birds. And then we get into more of our fillers, the wheat and sorghum, things like that. The birds that they might not be their primary food source, and of course some of the manufacturers put that in the bag, and a lot of that ends up on the ground, and the birds never use it. So that's what we can get in our mixed sources. And then we also have this Niger, this thistle seed, which is a very tiny seed. And with this Niger seed, we typically put that in our tube feeders like this one. The tube feeders attract our finches and things. And if you're going to put one feeder out, I would say this is probably the cheapest and the simplest feeder to put out with this Niger seed. So that's one thing that you can hang from your deck or from a tree in your backyard. And then with the mixes, there's feeders similar to this fly-through feeder here, or just a platform just above the ground. Different bird species, you know, they might feed on the ground or they might feed five feet up in the tree. So providing those various heights are important as well. And one other source is the lovely suet here, which is nothing more than rendered fat, if you will, and it's also full of the cracked corn and sunflower seeds and things. Woodpeckers, nuthatches love our suet feeders. So there's a lot of different things that we can do for the birds. A couple things with bird feeding is, of course, we're going to deal with squirrels. And some people, it's a love-hate relationship. If you want to deal with the squirrels, no problem. Otherwise, I always recommend, if you want to put cob corn or corn away from your bird feeders, to keep them away from your more expensive mixes.
Well, Matt, thanks for, sorry to cut you off, but we'll talk with you next hour, okay?
No problem. Sounds good, Pete. Thanks.